Let's see what we got going on here. We are on a Monday. I'll put a little bit of background music on. We'll do some more dark music. All right. So, where are we at here right now? Got a bunch of stuff going on. Should probably keep an eye on that. Let's see where we're at. Looks like the system knows that broadcasts have started. All right, that's good. All right. Pull this up here. I wasn't sure if I was gonna stream tonight. I was just gonna hang out, but the wife's at a bunko thing with her friends, so I said, all right, I'll hop on and do a little bit of Linux and set a little bit of stuff up. Who knows? We'll figure out what we're working on. Here's the kind of lab stuff that we have going on right now. I've gotten the environment all set up so people can log in. I do need to add that to the automation course lab book. So there's a bunch of stuff to add over there, stuff like that. I don't always put up the chat, but I figure I'll throw the chat up there because maybe people can see what other people are talking about and at least see what kind of questions I'm looking at or answering or whatever. So, all right, let's see if we can't find something worth working on right now. I added keys in there for people, which is fine. You can see public keys. It doesn't affect anything. Done some lab stuff today. I also gave my presentation today for the Werewolf for Work. That was just like a brown bag lunch type thing. I'm doing it again, I think on Thursday. And then we record both of them, and then we take whichever one we want. Yeah, you were first, Sending Grounds. That's true. But yeah, we're just I'm trying to think of what we need to work on. I mean, we've got the stuff up there. I have really everything that I needed to done. I did fix the Ansible output for the sandbox lab today, so I'm gonna leave that done for now. I got to write my frequently asked question for lab access. Let's see what this thing says here. Yeah, give a key, clean up the environment, reboot when finished, acceptable use policy. So that is going to look kind of like this. And the way that's going to work is this is actually just a full wipe of all of this, because this is the lab guide. It's not the other stuff anymore. Hey, Paul, how's it going? Thanks for the Prime. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. Where is... Hold on, let me make sure I move this over here a little bit. I can help with the lawnmower, yeah. So, let's do a couple of things. Let's, first off, a lot of times, and people don't use this a lot if they're using Word or something like this, but you can set your headings. And if you use headings, you can very easily create a table of contents. So the things I know I want to do is access to lab, and then we'll do another heading. Let's say key. So key. Let's just say public keys. And then we're going to say reboot when, let's say, we might just say maybe lab best practices. And then we'll say, you know what, and access to lab, probably even before that, we'll say acceptable use policy, right? There we go. All right, so we've got these, and then if you guys have never insert one of these, all you gotta do is go to the top, and you can actually do it anywhere, but you can insert in your, where's he at? Should be, maybe it's under design, and we should be able to add in, thought it was under insert. Maybe under layout. Man, that's probably because I got the screen so small I'm not seeing it. Let me see here. I thought it was an insert. And then you inserted, instead of page numbers, you did your, I'll see it. There it is. Just set in a table of contents. Boom. However, we didn't want to do it there. We wanted to do it here. Here, boom. All right, there we go. Now those will automatically happen. And then what we can do right here is we can just set right at the top of this, right above it. Or we can set it right at it. We can set a paragraph and do a page before. Always have a page break before. Boom. So it's always be on its own page. And I could do that for each one or whatever if I really needed to. Which is fine. I'm not super worried about that, but I do want to have the contents at the top and then have the Linux lab guide all through in there. And then I'm going to turn it into a PDF anyway, so it doesn't really matter what I do with it beforehand, right? What else do we have? Hey, Chris, how's it going over on the... Are you on the YouTube side? Okay. Okay. I guess I do have these other chats up, but I thought that maybe I'd have the chats out of the way and I would just work on whatever I kind of worked on for today. And I don't have like some direct agenda. I just do have some things I need to get done. Like I need to get this done. I need to get the presentation for Unit 1 of the automation course done. Oh, is it only got to 60 today? That's too cold. I think Phoenix got to 100 today. We just barely hit 100 today, so we're almost breaking this temperature. Oh, and it's rainy. Man, that would be nice. We didn't get a lot of rain. We didn't get much of a monsoon here, Paul. It was a little rough here. For summer for sure. And then Paul, I might have told you like they ran Cox fiber through my whole neighborhood, which wasn't that big of an inconvenience. They were just running it a few days. But they put this thing in my front yard. You know, like imagine like one of those little water access panels so you can turn on your sprinklers, but put two of them next to each other and then two of them wide. So it's about as big as like if you've ever, I mean, 3x2 probably. It's huge in my yard. And I remember looking at it going, I don't even think like you could really drive over that. Like, I mean, because it's in the side where I have my my RV gate. And I was like, I don't think that'd be safe to drive over. But anyways, they put that in my front yard, Paul. And then it rained really hard. This was a few months back. We actually did get some rain. It was raining for like 2 days out here. And it like eroded all down in there. Like they didn't pack the dirt very well. And I'm like, well, it sucks to be them because, I mean, it's in my yard, but it's their shit, so. Fisherman, you said you're trying to overseed your damn lawn. Yeah. I have water, like I have grass for the front and the back, which is pretty rare in Phoenix. And in Phoenix, like most people do like a xeriscape. You just put rocks everywhere and then some desert plants and it looks fine. But yeah, it's all terrible. You have 1 gig fiber there? Nice. Chris said, how have I been handling the private keys? Do they ever get cleaned up, have access? Yeah. So the private keys, for people that don't know, you just go drop them. If you just drop them here in the lab environment, I'll just take them and put them in the authorized keys. And then people that get in get some type of this view right here. Right? And then this is what it is right now. Basically, only Rocky 1 and 2 exist anymore. I blew away the other guys. I had to do that because the target nodes for these nodes, the target nodes, I didn't have enough space. So let's grab something that I might need here. Hold on. Where's Discord at? Literally just had it. In our lab environment, I kind of want to use. This might be a little too silly. I might need to clean this thing up. Where's it at? The hell are we? Should be right here. Ah, here. Okay. That's a little silly. And this one is a little simplified now. So I'm going to fix this one. So let's go do that drawing real quick. Let's go clean up that drawing. So that drawing is, I think it's this one. It's fine. I don't care. Yeah, this guy. Whoops. All right, we gotta turn off the stupid rotator. Rotator is not nearly as good as the other one, if you ask me. Let's go up here. Whoops. And okay, there's the automation labs. Auto 1 through 5, and Rocky is now only 1 through 2 because we're not running the automation, or we're not running the admin course right now, guys. We have the admin capacity still in case people want to do stuff, but I only have 2 nodes up for that. Yeah, Fisherman, I don't know if those little dune sandworms would live out here. It's too hot. I mean, that dune show at least looked like it was somewhat cool there. You know what is interesting, though? If you guys ever watched the original Dune, Patrick Stewart's in it, right? We all know him from, you know... Oh, shoot, how do most young people know him? Probably as the voice from American Dad, and they probably know him. Some of them may know him from Star Trek Next Generations, and then I don't know what other ones you guys would know him from. But anyways, he's Picard, right? But where I'm going with this is he is old in that freaking movie. But then you look him up and he's only like 36, but he looks like an old dude. And I'm like, because he's already balding and already gray by that point. But yeah, it's like the 1980 version. But you watch that and he's already old in that. But then you go look him up and I legitimately, I don't think he was 40 or he was right at 40 when he did that. Because he is an older gentleman, but he's been old my entire life. So I think that's kind of funny. All right, let's get a picture of this. We need to grab this. You're literally the worst, Excalibur. You're literally the worst. All right. Did I move those up there so that we'd have them? I probably did that I probably did that myself. All right. Internet ProLUG at ProLUGASUS.com. You come in, you drop, you get in there to the lab server capacity. That's fine. We'll do this one a little more professional, so we will cut them out for now and throw them over there out of the way, right there. And then we will just grab a picture of this, which I will do with a snipping tool because it's super convenient. Let's go like this. Boom, right there. All right, that's good enough for government work. Get that thing out of the way. Go throw this into my dock. Has access to the lab, right? Boom. So this will be part of the thing as we go in there. Let's make sure everything's right. I probably should have done that before I did my picture. Yeah, those are all good. People just come in on the outside, through the outside port, come into the system. Okay. Yeah, that should be fine. Yeah, it looked rough. Yeah, he was very old by that point, but he's still a great actor. We like him. He's done some pretty fun roles over the years too. But yeah, when you rewatch it, it's not super great. And like their attempt at like the block armor type, whatever that armor stuff is that they have, it's kind of a super weird movie too if you look at it. Like it's got weird overtones and undertones and all kinds of tones. All right. What else do we have? So I'll write some stuff up in here. Public keys are dropped in the what is the name of that channel? ProLUG Lab Environment? Yeah. Okay. I will note the password method is unreliable as it changes often. Right. I wouldn't want people using the password version if they could avoid it. Public keys are really the way to go. You guys can just give me public keys. You can drop them anywhere. It doesn't matter if people see them. And, you know, the worst anything can do with your public key is give you access to their servers. So we're good at that. Lab best practices is always going to be reboot servers when you are done with them. This will ensure a clean server for the next user to log in. By the way, one of the things that I wrote into the logic of this, if you guys haven't seen this, this is the when you log in, this is what you see up here. And then on the back end, this is what happens. You don't actually see this when you're in the Bastion. You don't see what the back end logic is. But this logic right here is built where if somebody's in one of these nodes, you don't see the node again. Like, so if I were to log in, if one of us were to test and log into Rocky 1, and then we were to watch this every minute, Rocky 1 would no longer show up until people have logged out of it. And it is back available, and it's able to be logged into again. Once that happens, it'll pop back up there. So then only people would be able to go into Rocky 2. The next user will get Rocky 2. We're not running the admin course right now, so we only have the capacity of 2. The Hammer servers are the same way. It looks like somebody's logged into Hammer 1 right now because Hammer 2 is the first one, and it'll continue down that line. It's not quite round robin. It is next access, but it's good enough for what we're using it for. Now, we only have 5 auto servers right now. However, when we're doing the course, one, I suspect very quickly people are going to drop off. They always do once they see how much extra work it is. And then 2, I don't expect people to be logging in when we're doing the course. So it's not like people are going to need more than probably 5 throughout the weeks. But we'll look at how that kind of works up front. And then the next part of this, I have to add part of the drawing here. It's back all the way out here. And I need to add a component to this drawing where we say these are the servers that you're going to use when you log in for the automation course. So over here, this will be lab best practices and access to lab. And a part of the access to lab will be target auto server mapping to target nodes, right? And this will be auto 1 is going to map over to target 1-1 and target 1-2, right? That's annoying. This will be 2 and 2. Oops. This will be 3. Oops. 1, 3, 4, and 4 and 4. And then this will be 5 and 5. But I kind of want to draw that because I think that'll be useful for people to see. But that is the mapping of the nodes. The auto nodes will target. Now, strictly speaking, you could hit all the nodes if you really wanted to. But you should really only from each of the auto nodes hit the ones that are your targets. Okay? And then, what else have we updated? A fair amount of these things. Let's see. Let me go check. The other thing to note is there is not. Let's go to Auto 5. He's up. I rebooted him like a couple hours ago to test something. Actually, that was sent to the Sandbox channel earlier. Let's go check. He can get to at. Yep. And his password is. Do I know the password? Good, good, good. We don't need to ever log in on him. We're going to be doing automation tools. We're going to be hitting that node. That'll be fine. shoot, where'd that go? I don't remember where it went. I need to get rid of this. It's pissing me off. All right, get out of there. All right. That's probably a better way to look at that. Oh, whoops. Let's go to here. That's fine. That looks good. Good enough for government work. Boom. So that's how you'll connect in. Now, and this will be a portion of the automation course when we get to it. Your first method of authentication does not need to be the one that you stick with. When you're doing the environment, when you're setting things up, when you're doing whatever, you can push your key. You can generate keys and push keys. You can even do that with Ansible, but you'll need the account password first. So you'll need to do this first, and I think that that's useful to understand how that functionality works within the tool. But then after that, you can use whatever type of keying or other things you want, right? I think that's kind of the fairest way to do that. Plus, it gives, I think, good experience where I can use the tool this way, I can use the tool this other way that I find more convenient. But it allows you to get some practice setting that up in the environment each time. I'm going to be heavily advising in the automation course that people set up a GitHub repository, like, get your own repository for this. And you can push your work up there, you can save stuff, and then when you get to a node, you can just pull everything down each time. So then you have that stored. I think that would be good for people. I think that'd be good practice. I think that's good to show somebody if you wanted to have a project or something. Basically, the whole course will kind of become a project for you. And I think there's some value there for people. Okay. What else? There's cool keyboard shortcut in Excalibur. Draw rectangle, press control and arrow down, or control and multiple arrows down, and it'll draw rectangles. Press enter to type text. Interesting. I think I saw a suggestion for that when I got the paid for version of it. I wonder if that's, yeah, draw rectangle, press control and arrow down. So something like this. Yeah. I did see that. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah, and you could do. Yeah, I did see that the other day when I was messing with this. It's been a little while since I had played with it, but that's a good little shortcut for drawing things or drawing things out to the right and then down and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think that's a cool little functionality if you need it for sure. Oops. Let's get rid of that. Yeah, it's good. Good looking out for sure. I do need to draw that. I do need to draw this, but I'm not gonna do it right now because. But that would be, yeah. I might even use something like that to get them, to get the nodes and then show the targets, because it's better to visually represent this, I think, because this won't make a lot of sense to people. Also, good gosh. Just ignore all of them. Come on. There we go. All right. So that's not a bad start. So, but if you were in Auto 5 and you made a right, whoops, where am I? We can make a targets file, target 1-1, target 1-2, right? And then from here, I should be able to say Ansible target -I hosts, right? And then -K, capital K. You could do both of them. And then say -M shell -A uptime, right? Like that. And then it'll ask me for my password, which I'll give. Ansible 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I can just hit enter again. And it'll default to the other password, and then now that'll go in there, and it'll say you're done. Oh, I didn't change the user. What is the user? -U maybe. SVC. Right. We could also put that if we had a thing, and then. What? Interesting. That's something I got to fix. So it doesn't. Service Ansible doesn't have a home directory yet, so we need to make him one, and then we need to give him. So let's go real quick over to that node. So we did it with that account, right? So it was 10050 was our. So let's Source Ansible. We're going to modify this a little. We're going to cheat. It's okay. It's okay to cheat. And then escape colon to VQ, and then CD to. None of the other stuff should matter. The group and everything that shouldn't matter. But now let's CD to home and ch own SVC Ansible. And we need to add a -R. And then we'll see that now it's that's fine, because there's a 5. That should just be his UID. That's an interesting behavior there. Inside of Service Ansible. That's fine. That's fine. Doesn't matter. Auto 5. Service Ansible target 1 and then there. Okay. Home, that's all good, and then we'll come back here, run our Ansible, and we can, let's see. We're gonna have to bypass the key problem, but I can fix that. What is the password? There we go. Oh, whoops. I think I fucked up that password too. I messed up the password. We don't have. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's good. Post key checking and SHP pass do not support this. So what I can do is what's the easiest way to do this? For this node, we could do. And then what's that character? It's strict. That's the value right there. Strict host key checking equals no. Yeah, it's just this right here. Should work on both. Well, help if I was back where I was. There we go. Yeah, shouldn't care. It doesn't care anymore. Strict host key checking, no. So I need to set that on. Oh, I already made it here, so I've technically done it everywhere. Yeah, because it's in. Oh no, that's roots home. I need to set it in roots home for the image. So Control Shift R exec, Control Shift R for automation. Now we're in the environment. Drop that value in there. Strict host key checking, no. And then true exit. So it's going to build that clean image. And then now that's going to be built into the containers for the auto boxes when I reboot them. Auto boxes sounds like a transformer thing, but that'll be good for the automation. Yeah, so they'll be the only ones. I guess I almost want to say natively, but that's not really the fair way to put it. They'll be the only ones that, without any specific special things, can get directly into the target nodes. You would have to, well, I guess you just have to try to connect to them, but strict host key checking will be turned off on these nodes so that that error doesn't come up like that in Ansible. And we're going to reboot it and check it because there's nothing that says that we can't. Get rid of that. Put this over here. We're doing the write-up for the frequently asked questions and the updating the reboot process for lab nodes. I need to write that. Once people use the nodes, they do need to reboot. We'll check. We'll check on that. We'll see if we can do that. Hi-Hat is the Linux security course supposed to be follow-up to the Linux admin? No, you could just jump right into it. And that is actually starting, just so people know. Like, we run for these free courses, which, not to sound like the devil from Rick and Morty, but you don't pay for them with money. You pay for them with curses. No, you pay for them with your time, right? And the security engineering course is starting this Saturday coming up. That's round 2 of that, so we've run it before. It's a little worked out as far as the problems with it. And then the 16-week automation course is coming up. But the question was, is the security engineering course a follow-on? And the answer to that is no. This is a totally different job scope. Whereas like the admin course was getting you ready to do admin work. If you're already doing admin work or you're thinking more like getting into building systems, which is kind of a logical place you go from adminning, but it's neither here nor there. This is a standalone course. I do not build on stuff from the other course. This one is building servers, building security into them. And there's no, as I tell people, there's no hand-holding in this one. This one is significantly more challenging from like a what I make you do standpoint. I don't like I don't like help you in any way with like ls, pwd, cd, like those kind of things that are like, you know, the stuff that Linux admins do every day. I don't help with any of that stuff. It just jumps you right into doing stuff in the environment. So I think this one's a little more of a crash, but I think people can do it without doing the other course. Also, let me get Discord out of the way. That environment's set. Let's go back to our SSH Auto 5 reboot, and then ping Auto 5, and we'll get that guy to come back up, and then we'll go. Alex, you've been through the courses. You highly recommend. Nice. Yeah, and you get a cool little certificate with them too, and you get your name. For people that don't know, you actually can get your name. Where's our course? Where's our? Have I closed down? Oh, here. I don't know how I've closed down ProLUG.org, but here's our site, and then you could come here, and you can look at, like, if you wanted to verify that Scott Champagne has been through the course, you get an actual little thing that you can put into your resume or whatever, and people can click on it, and it'll go and tell them that you've been through the course. And the only people that have this are people like that have gone through the course, right? So they're the only ones that get validated with that. And there's a little QR code that gets built into each one. Treasure does that for us. He's one of our one of the guys in our group. So we'll turn on the rotation again. We'll let this thing rotate through while we're doing other stuff. But that'll ping up to about between 140 and 160. So it's going to take about 2 more minutes to go through or whatever. You work in GRC. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, that security engineering course would actually be nice if you do GRC. And I can show you right here. This is the outline for the course. We start right with, it's right with the STIG tool. You're in the STIG viewer, and you are doing stuff. And I show that you're actually reporting out to a GRC team. So if you're working in GRC, you're used to getting reports like that from your Linux and Windows guys and stuff. So I'm showing the guys the technical part of the controls, well, there's some physical, but not really that we see often. And then the operational and managerial, which are administrative, typically type controls. So, yeah. So hopefully that stuff's good for you guys. And yeah, it's all just time though, right? I mean, I tell people it's 8 to 10 hours a week of time, and we find that people very quickly kind of drop because it is a lot of work. It's a lot of work to get through all the stuff you got to do, and then you got to do discussions, right? Alex, the difficulty of the automation course. I wouldn't say I'm making these courses super hard, so I'd probably put it like a 5. Like all my courses are designed to walk you through them, I think. So for somebody that's never done any automation, it might be a little more challenging. But I would argue that most of you guys have done, like, the types of automation that I do are all simple. I tell people all the time, I don't do some deep, complex stuff. I just do simple stuff and try to do it well. Let's do this real quick. Let's hit that Ansible. We gotta make a host file again. And then it'll be target 1-1 and target 1-2. And then it'll be Ansible targets -I hosts -m shell -k. We only need the lowercase k -a uptime. And well, -u. That's gonna be it's a whole big old giant command at this point. Ansible, and that should just work. That's what I want for the users. I want the users to be able to drop in, build their host file like I just did, and go. I don't want people to be stuck fumbling around with that kind of stuff. So I think you could do them both. Yeah, I do. I mean, it's one of those things. If you're really good at like setting your time up and doing this stuff, I think you can definitely juggle the courses. So, yeah. There will also be. I was telling the guys this is one of the fun things. This is my favorite thing. And if you guys ever get, like, if I ever get the wife to come on and any of you guys want to ask her, she will 100% validate this. One of my favorite things that happened was when we were doing the course, and I want to say this happened with the first Linux admin course. So last year when we were doing it, like, we were all done and we did the course or whatever, and I was downstairs hanging out with her watching TV or something, which her and I very rarely watch TV. I'm mostly on my computer. We'll hang out up here, but there was just like a bunch of people down in like the Linux chat and like study groups and stuff still for like hours. And I told her, I was like, look, I'm not doing any of this. I didn't tell these guys they all had to go hang out in there. They were just doing it. And that was like, and then now some of those guys that have done the course a few times and worked through this stuff and kind of been like central to getting a lot of this stuff done, those guys have the power to make courses, or not make courses, but to make study groups and stuff. So you can come up here and you'll see these study groups that I didn't make. People will start putting together study group times for you guys to get together. And that's not going to work for everybody. Don't get me wrong. Times are what they are, and everybody's on different parts of the planet. But we'll start to see a bunch more show up when we start the course in earnest, because people will be studying and working through stuff, and guys will do the labs together. They'll do the worksheets together. And then when they're all done, they'll have these finished kind of body of works that if somebody says, hey, why should I hire you? I need somebody that's really good at automation. They can at least show that they've done all that automation stuff. Now, if the person wants to quantify them as good or not, that's up to them. But, they will have done the work as far as that part goes. Okay. Yeah, so hopefully that's good. That's all free. You just got to go sign up for it in the Discord. Just and signing up just means you say that you want to be alerted that it'll tell you when it's coming. All right, so that was a little Ansible ad hoc command. Oh, I got to change this to dark mode cuz that's too bright, right? Dark mode. I think you guys prefer looking at stuff in dark mode. The course books are here. They are free, so I can link these to you guys. Actually, you know, I won't even link these ones to you. I will just go drop them in. I'll show you guys where they are, because if anybody wants them, they're over here in the Discord. There's a section called Beginner Start here, and here's the course books that are out there for the 2 courses. So if you just want to thumb through them and see if any of that stuff's interesting to you, they're there. The automation one, as soon as we get like a good syllabus page up, it looks like we have an untitled page up. Once we have a syllabus page up, I'll drop the syllabus here. The guys put those together. So this is one of the other things I tell you. There's this awesome little writers group you guys can go be a part of. If you want to get your name on, the first 2 books are pretty well set, but you know, if these guys are looking for work, right, and they're like, hey, what have you done? They can show their names right there. They can show their names that they were part of building this out, possible by a group of people who built all of this. So there were people that put this together. They know how to work on a team. They know how to work on a GitHub. So these guys put this together. There's a bunch of them down here. And this one, there's some overlap of the same people, but it's the people who worked through and did the courses, right? And then it's going to be the same thing with this one. This one will have contributors too as well. And this is the automation version. This is what we have for now. This is what we're going off of. If we modify the course as we go, we'll do it. It's not that hard to change course, but this is generally what I have us doing throughout the course. So, all right. What else? What else do we have? Let's go look through. What else do we need to do today? We don't really have too much in way of prepping the course that I have to do besides those, besides writing stuff up, which is not super fun to watch or super fun to do. So I'll just kind of ignore that stuff for right now as work I have to do in the future. It's actually funny. I got a new doctoral chair for the college. Not a new one. I got my first one. My other one, I guess I never had reached out to him, so we never ended up working on anything together. So now I have a new one, and I'm going to be doing. Some of you guys know I'm working on systems engineering, so I've been reading a lot of dissertations this last week, and I think I'm going to focus on actually something that I build quite often, and something that I've shown you guys how to build quite often, which are Bastion systems. So I think I'm gonna mod some stuff around that and write up some research on that, which I think will be kind of cool. And it's funny because I had never gathered the data that I was going to last year on it, but it doesn't really matter because one of the fun things about dissertations is you can't use any data that you've done before you get through an IRB. Any data you collect before, you have to throw out. It's not valid data. So you have to either use somebody else's collected data or use your own collected data, but after an IRB rubber stamps it. So that's kind of an interesting thing. IRBs are just internal review boards. So, okay. What else do we have here? I think I've done all the stuff I need to do aside from the writing. And you saw, writing's boring. I put this together while we were sitting here, but this is all kind of boring. Yeah, I don't know if I have anything else I need to do right now. I don't know if I have anything else I need to work on. I swear that thing's not rotating unless I have it in focus, and that's That's not normally how that works. Normally that it should rotate all the time, I thought. Oh, you said, sorry, I missed this earlier, the CKA stuff. CKA and CKS prep session course with the new resources. I did some background research. No good course. When I got my CKA, Mumshad Manabeth was pretty good, and I think he's still around. But I think now CodeCloud's still probably a really good resource, but it's a little more expensive than it was when I first started out with it. That was a few years ago. In fact, I think my CKA is going to lapse next year if I don't use it. And my CKAD. I never finished my CKS. I never finished that test, so yeah. And now they got that Kubestronaut badge, which I don't do enough Kubernetes to need that, so I might never work on that. But I do have some good stuff on CKA in the if you go in the Discord and you look in our old presentations, you can find stuff that I've done on CKA and studying with it. You can even go find some old talks that I did on it too. If you scroll up just a little bit here, here's all my CKA certification stuff. And that one has a lot of stuff for you to go practice, and then it's got an outline of all the course. It is a little dated though, because I think I passed it in like, when did I pass my CKA? Was that 2023? I think it was 2023 when I passed mine. Sounds right. But yeah. But I don't do a lot. I mean, I still play with Kubernetes, but I don't really do anything professionally with it right now. Lots of stuff going on. I don't do anything professionally. All right. Well, shoot. I don't really know what else I need to work on. And it's funny because I should probably just take a break and think about it, because a lot of times I'll get off stream and I'll be like, oh shoot, I could just do that. So maybe we'll take a quick break. Oh yeah, I'm sure a lot's changed. There's been like 5 major versions released since they're all minor versions, but I think there's been like 5 minor versions since I got mine. They're up pretty far. So here's what we're gonna do. Take a quick break. We'll go to studio mode and turn this off. I'll take a quick little hourglass. If you guys have any suggestions for stuff we should work on, let me know. Like stuff you guys want to see in the lab. Take a little quick break and then we'll figure out what we're working on. Because maybe there's something good that I can do still. If not, I'll just go back to watching Commando. That's what I was doing before I started. I was watching old Arnold movies. All right. Yeah. Think about if you guys have anything you want me to work on, especially for the courses coming up. All right. I'm back. So, let me pull up a couple things here real quick while we're waiting. We're finishing up. And maybe we'll call it a day. I guess it depends on I think I always start out more motivated than I end up actually being. Let me turn on my camera. Boom, I'm back. And just let you guys know there's always stuff going on down in the server. Saturdays kind of the most poppin', but we also do stuff Sundays. Bash study group, security engineering course. This is the kickoff, so this week is the week to really start if you're missing it. The automation course, this will be the first time we've ever run through it, so that'll start at 5 on September 20th. Now, I will tell you guys, week 3 is going to get bumped. So, I'll probably release it still, but we won't actually have the meeting because I'm going to be up in Montana. So I'll be up in Montana working on some stuff. Me and the wife are going to go up there and hang out with an old... He's a military friend, but I met him after I got out of the military, but still, we're kind of friends because of the military. And I'm going to be up there, so we're going to miss the second. So both of these week 3 will get skipped. We'll push it forward. It's going to be over near Bozeman, Paul. We were going to get to Idaho. So, Paul, the plan was to go up to Montana and go over to Idaho to see my family that's up there. But we're just not going to make it up there right now. We were going to go up there because the 2 of my brothers live up there. Wait, hold on. Let me think. Yeah, 2 of my brothers live up there, and my mom lives up there right now. So We were just going to go up there and kind of see everybody, but we're not going to make it. 12 hours to Bozeman from here. Yeah, you don't have to come over for that, Paul. I'll make sure when we go up there, probably, if I had to guess, early next year, I'll make sure to come out and see you. Because I don't think you're far from my brother. My brother's in Coeur d'Alene. I got it. I didn't think it was going to get that. I didn't think I was going to say it right either, but it got Coeur d'Alene. Yeah, that's where my brother is, and I think my mom's up there too. I'm not exactly sure where they are, but they're up. My brother John's almost all the way to the Canadian border. He's way the F up north. He's way up there. All right, and then what other ones? We always do the late night bash study too. I don't always run that. Man, I've been turning in early because I've been hiking. Every Saturday and Sunday morning I've been going hiking with the wife. So I don't always stay up for the late night bash study, but somebody typically runs it. And then we got the writer room on Sunday and the lab maintenance on Sunday. So we do those. You guys can see what maintenance looks like. You can see kind of like what an operational meeting might be like. Nobody came to this one last night though, so I just called it after about 10 minutes. Did all the work that I needed to do and jumped out of there. So CDA is 3 miles from you. Nice. That's not bad. Yeah, that's not too bad then. All right. Yeah, it looks like some stuff's going on down in the Discord. Let's see. What else do we have? We got all of our nodes up. All of our nodes look up. All of our monitoring of our lab environment looks good. And I know that looks small, but essentially I can just see that all my nodes are up real quick. It's a very quick way to see. Right here at the top it says all 21 devices are available. So that's exactly what I need. I can see all of them there. Nothing busted. That's good. That works for me. Okay. Well, go do one more little lap around the environment real quick and check some stuff. Let's go to Jump 02 and see only me and Root are in this environment, so that's good. Let's see, all of our other environments are good. We checked all our nodes today. Yeah, I mean we're pretty good on the environment for now then. I mean we're probably pretty well set. Really I just want to make sure that we're ready to start the course on Saturday. And then I really just have to get the last little stuff ready for the course, and then we should be good. So all right, well, that's good enough I guess then for now. I'll just call it today. We don't have to do a super long stream or anything. I'll go back to hanging out and watching stuff. If anybody has any questions for me or wants to know more about the class or the courses that are coming up, just let me know. What do you need? D2 nice. What's going on? Let me ask the question. Let me see what your question is real quick before I go. What's the hypothetical? I will try to answer it if I can. I will try to do the best I can. Book, swag, course books are here, right? Course books are here. They're also down in there. He said, I have somehow made it past second round of interviews for system infrastructure mid-senior role. It was obvious that my Linux administration was not where it could be for this role. How should I prep in the next week? It depends. If you think they're going to give you stuff hands-on, this is what I would do. I would come here. I would hop in. This is what I would do, is I would spend a fair amount of time right here in Killer Coda. And I would get as much hands-on, like, Linux time as I could. The ones that I would go do are Powell Piwaz has his course fundamentals. I want to say he's got about 30 or so of them down there. And then mine, I have 36 of the Linux ones. Let's see, let's go to mine real quick. I'll link mine, and then you can go either into my Linux labs or my Ansible labs. And really, for admin type work, what I would tell you is, and in an admin role, right? Like, so it says infrastructure mid-senior type role. If somebody wants you for that role, right? They want you for a reason. They want you to be able to complete keep their system working typically, right? And I'm not telling you have to go through all this stuff, but I'm saying these are the kind of things that I see as being essential operations type things, right? Like being able to get into Linux hands-on, that's going to be a must. They may give you some kind of hands-on little test. Knowing about the command line, files, redirects, that kind of stuff. Knowing some of the basics about storage, how to see like what storage is on a box, because there's four big resources that a Linux box uses. There's four big resources in general, but that a Linux box uses. It's CPU, memory, disk, and network, and that is the order in which they get exhausted. CPU gets exhausted first, memory tends to get exhausted next, or in a lesser extent than CPU. Disk next, storage, right? Storage is cheap, but some companies, especially companies with physical stuff, they will have a hard time keeping up with capacity because it's hard to expand capacity in physical boxes if you don't have the slots or whatever. And then network is the last one, and that's the order that things tend to get exhausted in, right? That's also order of speed of use. That's also order of most precious to cheapest, if you will. At least in a LAN for network. Network gets expensive when you start talking about out to the world. So I think that the other things you should know how to do then, so storage is huge. Operating running systems, like if we are talking about infrastructure of nodes, our service is on, our users logged in, our processes running, and who started them and how did they start and when did they start and what resource are they using, and all of these types of things, right? What is the security posture of your systems? How locked down are they? What are the kernel settings? There's a bunch of things that you might need to be able to check and might be able to talk about. Are you patching your systems, and how would you patch a bunch of systems? This is a thing that I think you should know. It's not just yum update or DNF update anymore. We have to know how we patch things, and typically the answer to that is have a centralized repository, download everything, test it in a lower environment, move it in life cycles through to your other stuff. You can do that with tools like Satellite. You can do that with tools like Pulp. Pulp is a free and open source tool that's upstream of Satellite. You should know some basic scripting. Like you just have to touch scripts. You have to be able to loop over things, set some variables, pull things, do decisions based on values that you see. Nobody's going to ask you to script the whole solution, but they might ask you to look at a script and tell them what it's doing, and that's kind of a skill you have to work on a little bit. I would know at least how to start Docker, maybe how to make sure like kubectl, like your Kubernetes is working. I would tell you need to know at least some framework for monitoring systems. Monitoring systems tends to be there's three things that we monitor. There are your telemetry, or metrics at a distance, right? Telemetry. There are your logs, and there's trace data. So trace is like how a flow of an application works. They can be monitored through either push or pull methods. The most common one right now that most people are deploying is something like node exporter being scraped or pulled by Prometheus, and then being all presented up through Grafana. Older methods like Nagios used to exist, where it would do polling against the nodes for values and stuff like that, right? And then it would present it itself. I think you should understand the basics of like baselining and benchmarking and testing. So how do we know the baseline of a system? We look at it over recent historical. We look for high water marks, that kind of stuff. Benchmarking is when we start to like put our foot on the gas and see what our system can do under load. So baselining and benchmarking, and then testing methodology. Oh man. Oh, they always come in twos. I tell the wife, if you have three, you're looking for attention. I think you should know system hardening, which is excuse me, if how we look at a system and harden it to like a bench or to a set of standards. So CIS benchmarks, STIG standards, those kind of things. Understand the fundamentals and able to explain how systems should. Man, sorry guys. I'm blowing up over here. Oh. Fisherman. God bless you. You guys ever see that old joke from what's his name? He's that comedian that kind of fell off really big. He was super popular and then he was gone. He did like Waiting. But he says, I always come out and say, God bless you. You know why? Because I'm not the Lord. That's how he would say it. What was his name? He'd always wear the frickin' skinny jeans. He was my brother Matt's favorite comedian. He reminds me of that Jesselnick guy, but it's not him. It's he was in the movie Waiting. He was one of the I don't remember his name. But anyways, so I would do that, and it sounds like you've done a lot of that stuff. Theoretically, be maintained or secured, but the details and specifics not there. Yeah, so I would definitely know. Oh, I would definitely know an automation tool of some type. I don't care what it is, if it's Bash or Ansible or Python, but I would at least know how to talk to how you would hit a bunch of nodes and that kind of stuff. And then engineering troubleshooting. Troubleshooting's huge, and not just like talking about troubleshooting. If it's a mid-level, it might not just be talking about troubleshooting, but definitely emphasizing how you can troubleshoot and write it into procedures that make it effective for your junior guys. Because one thing that's always true in a company, and Fisherman's here, and Fisherman was a manager for like 9 years, so he was like a tech lead manager type. He could tell you he's looking for people at the mid and upper levels. He's looking for people that produce people like themselves, or at the bare minimum can make things that make those people act like them. So writing if you can focus on how you would write documentation to do these things, right? Like I can troubleshoot, but also I know the tools and the steps that are needed well enough to write that so that the junior people can do it as well. So now you're not only getting me, you're getting these other 6 people to act like me as well. And honestly, that is really like the difference between like a mid-level role and what starts to be like a senior and a staff and a principal type engineer is, can I make other people like me? And that's so, you know, can I talk this stuff and build this stuff in a way that other people can use it? So and then incident response, yeah, how do you handle when stuff happens? And they may put you in you know, what would you do scenarios, like how would you fix this and how would you look at this and what would you do? And those are all the interviews I always get. They always ask me, well, what would you do if like you got a call out because an Oracle server wasn't working? Well, I'd go there and make sure Oracle was on it. I would make sure Oracle was running. I would say, has the server rebooted? So I have 3 things I always do. There's 3 things, even when I log into servers here, that you guys always see me do, and you might not always realize I do them, but I always do it. When I SSH to a server, I always check its uptime, see when it was last rebooted. Even if I don't suspect it's rebooted, I do that. I do like a W or a last. I like to do a W to see who's on it, or a last to see who's logged into it recently. Now, in my home lab, I don't do that nearly as much, but I do on other nodes. And in working, I do that. And then if I don't know for certain, like if I haven't recently built that server or something, I mean, if I haven't been in that server in a while, you'll always see me do a cat Etsy splat release, because I want to know these things. I want to see when the server jeez, 49 days. I want to know when my server last rebooted. I want to see who's logged into it and from where. And I want to make sure, I think this is 9.4. Yeah, I want to see the version of the server. Those are 3 things I always do. Yeah, I mean, if you really want the job, make sure you're kind of, yeah, tying what you know to these different things. And then, you know, this is my way of looking at like administrative type stuff, right? This is my, yeah, you know, take on a Linux admin course if I only had you for 16 weeks. These are the things that I think are critical for people right here. If you had more time, I would tell you focus on securing your system, keeping your system confidential, you know, keeping the integrity of your system and your data, that kind of stuff. That's a big part of it as well. How do you do stuff securely? Yeah, and D2 Nice, I would tell you, like, get your hands on it so you really feel comfortable, because, I don't know, they might put you at a command prompt, so just make sure you're not fumbling around there too much. But a lot of that stuff they attribute to people being nervous anyways, so as long as you can talk to it and know how to do it, I think that's I don't want to say skill in of itself, but it's it'll show that you're kind of at least ready at a high level. Yeah. So hopefully that's good. I could show you all kinds of like operational stuff that I think is useful to know, but I don't think that that's gonna change anything for you. I have like all my, soft engineering skills stuff that I'm always talking about. But I think if you've been around enough to at least gotten to the second interview there, I would get my hands on it and I would look at some of this stuff. If you do have time and you're like, oh, I want to go watch the courses in here, in the Linux admin course here, if you do get bored, there's stuff there. Here's all the in each of the course weeks, right? Because this is all free, but in all of the course weeks are the in the worksheets are the actual presentations that I did. So if you're like, oh, I just want to cram this Linux systems administration stuff that Scott was talking about, here it all is here. And if you say, oh, I need just Linux system admin stuff, and you want to see me talk about it, I have it all up in there. I also have, where do I have it? ProLUG presentations. This what I'm about to show you is actually up in the Discord, but like my Linux sysadmin course, right here. And we talk about like administration tasks, what do we need to know how to do and how do we do it, all that kind of stuff. We observe things, we benchmark them, and we tune them. At the end of the day, these are the only things we do. We observe, we benchmark, and we tune systems, right? At least running systems, not when we're building them, but administration of systems. We do these things here, right? This is up in the Discord, and also I have old talks on this. If you need it, that kind of stuff. So, the use method.
Thanks. I appreciate your feedback.
Nice. Yeah, I appreciate that. 1,000. I think that's the most bits I've ever gotten, by the way, too. So I appreciate that. This is one of my favorite things to show people. I'll show you this, and again, this is in the Discord if you ever need to look through it. But utilization, saturation, and errors. This is the way that problems happen in Linux boxes, right? They've got those big four going along, which are CPU, memory, disk, network. Those four things are always running. And the utilization of a thing is between 0 and 100%. So I always kind of draw this up for you guys, but utilization is always between 0 and 100%, always. That's how much of a thing is utilized. I have this much cake and you eat 50% of it, 50% of it is used, right? In systems, it's a little different because each thing is a 1 second slice or approximately 1 second slice. So utilization is how the system is being used, right? Saturation is when you hit 100% and a queue starts to form off to the side. So a line, right? We call them lines in America, but other parts of the world call it queuing, right? Huh. I said somebody ring my front doorbell at 7 o'clock at night. Give me a second here, real quick, guys. I'll be right back. Who would ring my doorbell at 7 at night? Did this just become an unboxing stream? What is this? Somebody has sent me something. I don't know if I can unbox this on stream because I know what this might be. I don't think I can pull it out on stream. But, give me a second here. Throw that there. Hold on. We'll get back to that in a second. My knife from Fisherman years ago. This is not a little box they gave me. This is big. But I think I know what this might be. I don't think I can pull this out on stream. Well, there's no rule against it, but it's not in good taste. Oh yeah, it is what I thought it was. So one of my friends accidentally sent an upper to my house. If you guys don't know what an upper is, can't tell you. I can tell you, but it's a weapon. So, all right. He didn't mean to send it to me. Also, you might not know, but uppers are not considered controlled pieces of a weapon. Only the lowers are. So he sent me an upper on accident. He had my long story, but okay. Utilization 0 to 100%. Saturation as a queue starts to form, and then errors happen when timeouts start to occur within those systems. So once you hit your, let's say your system will wait 30 seconds in an asynchronous. So there's asynchronous and synchronous calls typically. An asynchronous call will not wait. It'll just sit and do other things, but there's still a timeout running somewhere. There's still a thing waiting for something to come back. But in a synchronous call, typically like 15 or 30 seconds, and if we get whatever, we don't get a response back, then we just fail. So errors are what comes from that. So this is the use methodology is a very quick and effective method to test systems. I look for utilization of the CPU, memory, disk, network. And I have a matrix for this. So I have a bunch of tools, but here's a matrix down here at the end of this is how we search for the big four. And that's a very effective, like if somebody says, hey, tell me, real quickly, what would you do if you had our 200 servers and it was your job to maintain them and see their daily operation and this kind of stuff. And like if somebody asked me that, like out of the blue, like I was just found myself in an interview, said, hey, what would you do? What do you think would be the most impactful thing for you to do when you first came in on a system? And I would say, I would make sure our monitoring is in place so that we have baselines of what's going on in our environment across these four metrics: CPU, memory, disk, and network. Utilization of those resources. Because then I can tell you, like, and this always used to happen. I used to build computer systems for people. I used to build like gaming rigs in the early 2000s when I first got out of the Army, because me and my buddies were all gamers. And people would always be like, hey, I need more RAM, I need more this and this and this. And I'm like, hold on a second, let's open up perfmon for a second and just see what the performance of your system is. And almost universally, guys, in systems, especially systems people built for themselves back then, your bottleneck would be your disk access to your system. So I would go get them 2 other disks. We'd reinstall in like a RAID 5, and they would get massive performance boosts and increase on their systems. This would just be like little desktops, like gaming rigs. Remember we used to take our gaming rigs to LAN parties and stuff back in the day? Some of you might not remember that. It was like early 2000s, but a little different in the Linux world. But this is how we test Linux boxes for speed. Because one of the worst mistakes you can do is think, oh, I need to go spend a whole bunch on disk. But disk isn't your problem, right? And there's all these different tools for checking this stuff and seeing what your I/O is, and right? Because then CPU has different aspects of usage, memory has different aspects, disk has storage being full, inodes being full, and I/O channel paths being full, right? Like I/O usage can be high even though you're not filling up the disk. Just read and write, so you can have problems there. Network's the same way. Network can be saturation of all kinds of things. So yeah, these are the things I would check or know. And again, running through the commands, knowing like the salient pieces of information from the commands, I think is one of the most valuable things you can do for sure. So testing, and then this is testing methodology. Remember I said have a testing methodology, purpose, scope, in scope, out of scope, what's your methodology and what's your control. And then I think I do some so this is how I test. I always have my purpose, my scope, what's in scope and out of scope, methodology and control. And then I give in this talk the difference between baselining and benchmarking, which I've been kind of saying, right? And you don't benchmark you do not benchmark a running production system. You have to benchmark systems in lower environments. That's always true. And then this is kind of a benchmark iteration methodology that you might use. You've got a planning phase, experiment and improve, come back around, plan for your next improvement. And I tell people all the time, like, it doesn't help, like if you ask for a budget of $30,000 and the company grudgingly gives it to you because $30,000 is a lot and it's a tight quarter, this and this and this, and then you do that $30,000 implementation, and then they say, well, how did it go? And you're like, well, the system feels a lot faster. I'm not going to say you should be fired on the spot or anything, but I'm telling you, that's not good, right? What would be better is plan out what you think, right? Get your budget together, and have a plan that, like, this thing should increase. We've been told by the vendor this is going to increase our performance by 16%. 16% is good. That's 1/6 faster than whatever it is right now, right? It's 16% more. But baseline the system as it is. Do your change, validate that it's better, and then prove it. So now you've got numbers. Now it doesn't feel faster, it is faster. Feeling is subjective. It's objective that something is or is not faster. I used to, man, people would be like, oh, this computer's acting funny. And I'm like, what's it doing? Telling jokes? Like, that doesn't help me. And I'm not trying to be like pedantic as an engineer. I'm just being like, I can help you in all kinds of ways if I know what you need help with, right? That's kind of my thoughts as an engineer, and an admin in that sense. But benchmarking tools, there's a bunch of stuff. Ways, perf is a good one for seeing how your system's working with even a command like pwd. Here's all the system calls it did and that kind of stuff. You can also strace it and ltrace it and stuff. We can stress things and see how they work when we're writing and consuming CPU and doing all kinds of other stuff. There's just a bunch of different stuff that we can do, and this is my practical application. Gather stuff, make your change, gather new information, happy dance, right? Or verify the delta is better or worse. Sometimes you make a change and the system objectively gets worse, but now you can go and move it back and go, well, it wasn't that. Shouldn't be doing that, but it's not just flipping switches. There's an anti-methodology called blind man's. It's called the blind man, where you just flip switches until something works. It's terrible engineering. Terrible admin too, really. Yeah, here's troubleshooting. Then I've got a whole bunch of troubleshooting methodology in there. Ways that we troubleshoot stuff. Failure modes and effects analysis. Yeah, the blind man. Just change things at randoms until problems disappear. That may be good. I mean, you may also shuffle a deck and pull out all aces. I don't know. But that's not a good way. Unless you're that girl from like Deadpool 2 that like her skill, her superpower is luck. And she just like walks and bullets go around her and buses flip over. And she just like keeps walking while the bus is flipping around her and shit. But most of us don't have that, so we really can't do that, right? Spotlighting. This is a bad one. People only use tools they're familiar with. You kind of have to know what the tools are used for and then specialize with them as you end up using them. So don't focus on learning every tool, but that kind of stuff. And then never blame. I always told my team, don't get on and blame network. Oh, this looks like that networking problem that you had the other day. Because networking guys already hear that all the time. So we don't want to pile on as Linux engineers. Plus, then they won't like us and work with us anymore. So, okay. So anyways, that's up in the Discord if you want to study that. I would just say one of the most important things to do is definitely get your hands on systems, though. Get your hands on as much systems as you can. I have all kinds of other stuff in there, but we're not going to worry about that right now. So, Lord Processor, what did you say? Prof, I would like to have connected to your house so you can see anyone else on your desk when they're like 5 miles away. Nice. We'll probably still drop off of here because while that was kind of good and I could show some good stuff, we have a lot of resources up in the Discord, like a lot of stuff for you guys to look at in that kind of respect if anybody needs that. Plus, I will be on during the week, so yeah, D2 nice if you need to talk about that stuff, especially if you post anything in the Discord, I can definitely help out too. But my main thing would be get hands-on systems and focus on those areas right here. These are the things that I think a Linux admin needs to know. These are the things that I think you should be familiar talking to and kind of understand at a high level. There's also a really good one. I don't have my killer code up anymore, but Fisherman Guybro has some pretty good labs on junior sysadmining. So if you're just like, hey, I want to talk, maybe you want to do some like how the work comes in, because his labs are specifically like they're sending you messages, and the messages that they're sending you are like coming in as trouble tickets. So His stuff is actually kind of good, just to refresh if you haven't done admin work in a while. I never know where anybody's at in the industry, but like if you haven't been doing admin work, those come in like trouble tickets from this jerk Bob Blurski, and he's just terrible. So, all right, well, let's go to our little end of stream thing. I appreciate everybody coming by. On the YouTube side, I'm going to go ahead and stop it here. You guys are always welcome down in the Discord. That's down in the description of the video.